won 30 or more wins. They typically always have one of the best defensive teams in the country. Now, he's been amazing since he's arrived here in Charlottesville.
Well, they know who they are as well as anybody in college basketball, and tremendous defensive ball club that scores the ball a little easier this year, and up against a hard-nosed, tough team today. Leonard Hamilton's squad, a lot of long, lanky dudes that can really put pressure on you defensively. Points will be earned in this game, not given.
Florida State coming off their best finish under Hamilton last year, went to the Elite Eight, lost to Michigan in that game. Here today, taking on a Virginia team that they beat 2 years in a row until last season. And here we go, starting lineups today for the Cavaliers. How about Phil Kofer, first for Florida State, as Virginia starts with Guy, who I know you really like there in the starting lineup for them and what he's done this season, as Jerome misfires in the first shot today.
Florida State's going to get a heavy dose of curls and screening action for Guy and Jerome and Hunter.
There's Kofer for Florida State, starting for his second start of the season for the Seminoles, team's leading scorer last year.
Something that Florida State, Mike, they cannot do in this building. They come in averaging 14, 15 turnovers a game. They need to keep that at single digits if they have a chance to win this thing on the road.
Here's Kyle Guy. Jerome fouled. And 2 free throws coming for really the MVP of this team. That's what they've called him.
Well, Ty Jerome does a little bit of everything. He's a big point guard, probably closer to 6'6" than he is 6'5", but his ability to drive the pressure today of Florida State, I think, is really big.
All right, thanks very much, and we welcome all those of you who just watched North Dakota State win the FCS National Championship over Eastern Washington. We're here in Charlottesville, Virginia. First ever AP Top 10 matchup between Florida State and Virginia this afternoon. 2-0 Cavaliers just underway.
After a made free throw, Virginia, they slap that 1-2-2 press on you to slow you down, and Florida State will have to make a lot of late clock shots in this game.
Shot clock down to 5. Long three, got it. What a shot from MJ Walker.
That's that late clock shot that you have to make in this building. Walker is a guy that is on the floor at 6'5", can make guarded shots because of his length. A big one for the Seminoles to start.
Diakite inside for Virginia.
Mike, he's the X factor. He's a 6'10", long, lanky, rangy dude that he can defend up as a 5 or he can defend down as a 3. But he can also get you 8-10 points a ball game for Virginia right now.
Long three on the way. PJ Savoy, that's not there. Rebound by Ty Jerome.
That's not there, and that's not the shot they need. A middle of the shot clock deep 3 will only get you beat in this building today if you're Florida State. Team in white is relentless at working off of screens in what they call sides. Their mover blocker offense, 3 around 2, and they make vicious cuts.
Nice block by MJ Walker on the defensive end for Florida State. Now an easy dunk inside by Kumaji.
He is a target in that sprint out ball screen dive for the rim. They list him 7'4". He's 7'6" if he's 7'4". I'm telling you, he is a presence that you have to deal with, especially on this end of the floor.
It's Chris Kumaji, and the senior makes it 5-4 Florida State.
Virginia's so good at not panicking in late clock, an uncharacteristic turnover by Kyle Guy.
Walker, that's a 3 ball. And rebounded by Virginia's DeAndre Hunter. Hunter one-on-one.
And the ones you have to make, right? In transition by Hunter. Use his big body to get his shoulder square to the rim. The length of Florida State sitting courtside is something that Virginia's going to have to figure out and deal with in this game.
Phil Kofer for three. And for Florida State, off to the hot start. 2 3 balls here. That one by Kofer, the senior. It's 8-4 early.
Florida State comes in making 7-8 3-point shots per game, about 37%. Maybe one of the better 3-point shooting clubs that Leonard Hamilton's ever had.
Foul called on Florida State, and we've got our first timeout of the afternoon.
Mike, Phil Kofer has a lot of stuff on the offensive end. He's got the step backs, he's got the shots off of curls, and he's a very solid right now 57% 3-point shooter.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by...
Put this behind me if I have to.
Oh, okay, we're going to come on. We need our coats.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots. Get back to 100%. And in part by H&R Block. In person or online, Block has your back.
Florida State on top early here at Virginia, 8-4. Welcome back inside John Paul Jones Arena, everyone. In Charlottesville, Mike Corey, Jimmy Dykes. How about this matchup we have here today? Let's see if the Seminoles can knock off Virginia for the first time this year.
Yeah, absolutely. A number 4 versus number 9 matchup in the opening weekend of a league that's done their work, Mike, in non-conference. This league's projecting 8, 9, 10 teams. I think they'll get that in the NCAA tournament. I think there'll be a couple of Final Four teams come out of this league as well. Virginia and Florida State are 2 of those that could absolutely get there.
Virginia, one of 4 remaining undefeated teams in college basketball, as they have another crack at it on the offensive end. Here's Kyle Guy.
With the length of Florida State, pushing Virginia half-court offense out about 2 steps higher than they want to run.
That's a goaltend. You can see it about their defense. Best in the nation, also in taking care of the basketball, too. Those are 2 great stats right there.
Yeah, the fundamentals of this program are obvious when you walk into a practice. The pillars of passion is what I like to kind of think about for every program and for Tony Bennett. Guard that basketball, stick your nose on it, don't turn it over, take high-quality shots. That's how they've won this league 3 out of the last 5 years.
And a steal on the defensive end.
Kyle Guy just makes violent cuts off that side offense, 3 out, 2 in, blocker mover system.
Diakite, tough fadeaway, and rebounded by Cabangeli for Florida State.
Cabangeli comes in off the bench, and he produces at a high rate in every area of the floor for the 17 minutes that he's in.
Whistle to foul, and he'll head to the free throw line. Florida State's done a nice job of sharing the basketball here early as they lead it by 2, and they are off to one of their best starts in school history, Jimmy. 12-1, only lost to Villanova, and they go deep, 10-11 deep on the bench.
Well, and that 9, 10, 11 guy comes in and they make things happen. Cabangeli, one of them, is their second leading scorer, and I talked about his productivity in the 17, 18 minutes that he plays, but Leonard Hamilton's formula for success this year is to wear you down. They're too deep at every position. They have terrific length, a physical brand of basketball that if you can't match up with it, they will knock you right in the nose. Mark Few told me last year after they got knocked out by Florida State, he said, we just had no match for just their physical size and presence and how rough they play. They're in their sides offense where Diakite and Braxton Key are screeners. And those perimeter players all work off of them in different ways.
Guy working through traffic for the Cavaliers. We're tied at 8.
That was a great move. If you can't do that against Florida State, you're in trouble because they are going to pressure that basketball. And if you can't blow by and make that defense respond, it could be a long afternoon.
Nichols thought about the 3. Instead, it's Kofer for 3, and he is fouled. And Phil Kofer is going to head to the free throw line for 3 shots.
Kyle Guy is more than just a spot-up shooter working off of screens. And watch his patience right here. He bumps this one and gets that defender on the high hip and just attacks low for a 6'3 guard. He is wired to score. And you talk about a guy that understands, Mike, how to how to bump off screens, curl screens, wrap screens. This guy's a clinic in how to get himself open off ball.
I know you're going to give us a little bit of a clinic later on that, right? So look forward to seeing that. At the free throw line is Phil Kofer. He's the leading scorer on his team last year. Redshirt senior. He broke his foot at the end of practice back in late October. So he started last game, and that was because of MJ Walker had the flu. Today he gets the start in place of Terrence Mann. We found that interesting, so Mann was coming off the bench.
Well, Phil Kofer is a street fight type guy. I think Leonard Hamilton realizes this is going to be a street fight type game, and he wanted to insert not only Kofer's scoring ability, but his passion and his fight and his mentality probably as much as anything.
Not a great start for the Seminoles at the free throw line. 1 for 5 here early as they hang on to a 1-point lead. And the rebound by Cabangeli.
We're so hard to get transition baskets against this team in white. They don't go to the offensive boards, and they sprint to the paint and build out.
Kofer, 3-ball. Rebounded by Ty Jerome.
Any ball screen that Florida State sets in this game, Mike, Virginia is going to attack it with speed and quickness, not only into the coverage, but out of the coverage. Very important. Salt 33 in white, as good as we have in the college game as a ball screen defender.
Guy working hard, and there's going to be a foul on the floor. It's going to be on Mann. That'll be his first. Well, coming up tonight, Zion and the #1 ranked Blue Devils in action versus Clemson at Cameron Indoor. Don't miss that. Start of conference play for both teams. The Tigers' last win in Durham coming 24 years ago, almost to the day, on January 4th, 1995. We'll have it for you at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. And the freshman for the Blue Devils, it's been amazing this season. Boy, you'd love to have one of these guys on your team. Right? They have 4.
Yeah, they are an outstanding group, and they're trying to do something for Duke that hasn't been done. Does it surprise you when I tell you that Duke has not won the ACC regular season outright since 2006? Does that surprise you?
Very surprising.
Yes, very surprising. They are built to possibly do it this year.
You would think. Offensive foul called on Florida State, and it's on Mann. That's going to be his second. Just picked it up on the defensive end and now the offensive end, and he's going to have to go out.
You cannot first side attack Virginia in this ball game. Their transition defense is going to be set and waiting on you. They sprint to the paint, they build a wall, they protect that nail, and they attack gaps with 2 hands off that weak side defense.
Trent Forrest checks in for Terrence Mann with the 2 fouls.
The versatility of DeAndre Hunter to run the point at times to get Virginia into their offense. Very important.
Nice job by Florida State on the defensive end. David Nichols battling for it. It's going to be a jump ball, and it's going to be Seminoles' possession.
And the second turnover so far for Virginia. They average 8.
As tenacious as Virginia is on the defensive end, been very impressed with what I've seen from Florida State today.
Well, it's their length. You and I are sitting courtside, and when they walked in the building last night, we were like, good grief. These dudes look different than a lot of college teams. Long arms, out in the passing lanes, really pressuring the ball. Virginia built a little different. There's that hard hedge by Salt again, 33.
Cabangeli, tough shot. And here comes Kyle Guy and Virginia. Hunter inside. And the 2 by Braxton Key.
That's just a body blow to Florida State's defense. All off of the penetration by DeAndre Hunter, and Braxton Key got his butt to the baseline and became a really big target.
Anthony Polite to the corner. Here is Raekwon Gray, in and out.
Kyle Guy either lost his gum or lost his tooth. It's one or the other,
right.
But it's laying at the free throw line on the other end. I'm going to assume it's his gum. If you are soft, just tell the coach today you don't feel well and don't check into this game.
Exactly. Here's a 3 from Guy.
Bam.
Back the other way. Missed 3 by Nichols.
I'm going to say it again. Do not take middle of the shot clock threes against Virginia in this building if you're Florida State. It will not work. Wow. Salt just set a wall on Nichols.
And they try to get it to him, and it's saved from going out by Hunter. Hunter off the Salt screen. Rebounded by Gray. Virginia is on a 9-1 run here. Block and a foul. And we've got a timeout. 4-point lead for Virginia. When we come back, our man Jimmy Dykes, he's still got the speed. Look at him. He's going to break down what Kyle Guy does off screens when we return.
Virginia, in their offense they call sides, Kyle Guy, number 5, has 5 or 6 different ways to work off of one simple screen. He can flare it for a 3-point shot. He can come up, and if you go underneath, bump it to the corner. He can curl off of these screens. He can wrap a screen for a layup attempt. He can flare it and then flip it, and then the obvious pin down on those baseline runs. Kyle Guy gives you 5 or 6 different looks off of one simple screening action in that Virginia side offense.
All right, Jimmy, here you are trying to do it real speed for us. That's pretty fast.
Well, I wasn't quite loose, or it would have been a little bit quicker, but the point is the 6 or 7 different ways that Kyle Guy works off those side third screens. And visiting with him yesterday, he says it's been a lot of film study, a lot of work, fundamentals. I think he reads his defender coming off of screens as well as anyone we have in the college game. And he's 3 out of 3 in this ball game. His patience, he'll stick his head underneath the rim and then work off those pin downs and the dribble handoffs, the ball screens. He understands it all and is an automatic lights-out shooter when he gets a clean look from 3.
Anthony Polite cuts it down to a 2-point ball game at the free throw line, but it's more about the defense trying to guard this all game for 40 minutes, right? How tough is that?
Yeah, it's difficult because you're chasing a kid that is conditioned to cut hard for 40 minutes. Interesting, Kyle and Ty Jerome told us yesterday after the Florida State last year game, they said we were worn out, exhausted, and that's the depth that Florida State puts on you for the next hour and a half in this building.
Clark underneath, and Jay Huff is fouled hard. And landed on there by Chris Kumaji.
It was a fairly fast sprint out of the ball screen by Huff, who had a chance to catch it, boom, and go right up, but he realized it's a 7'5" guy in the building, so I better ball fake. Huff is more of a perimeter stretch 5 than he is a factor around the rim.
First foul on Kumaji, 5th team foul for Florida State in this first half. Kihei Clark up top. Here's Key. Rebounded by Kumaji.
Braxton Key has not found his rhythm offensively for Virginia after transferring from Alabama, who had a big win today against Kentucky in the SEC. But what Braxton Key does is rebound that basketball at a higher rate than anybody Tony Bennett can put on the floor.
Forrest. Nice crossover, and Trent Forrest unable to finish. And there's a foul on the rebound, and it's on Virginia.
Yeah, and that's an important call, Mike, by you, a foul on the rebound, because it's the first offensive rebound, I believe, in this ball game for Florida State. They get 37% of their misses, Florida State does, on that offensive glass. And we've now played, a half of the first half, and this is the first time that they've been activity level on the offensive glass to get one in their hand.
Well, Jimmy, they're going to have to crash the glass here today. They haven't had a field goal since the 16-11 mark, so they've struggled right now from the field.
But against Virginia, Mike, you have to play through those stretches. You know what's going to come. You're playing against the #1 defense in college basketball, and if you get your dauber down because you didn't see the ball go through for 3 or 4 minutes, you'll get blown out.
We talk so much about Virginia and their defense and what they do. They can also score the ball, too. They're capable of putting up big numbers, which they've done so far this season.
Yeah, they can this year. Kihei Clark kind of changes them offensively, allowing Guy and Jerome to both operate as 2 guards.
Florida State's got to be better from the free throw line. They've left 6 points on the board there, 3 of 9 from the stripe so far. They're down by 2.
Boy, big hands, aren't they, Florida State? Big hands on the basketball.
Jerome lost the handle. Guy for 3.
Bam! Did you see how much explosion Kyle Guy had in to his jump shot?
and how fast it happens.
Yes.
He's 2 for 2 from three-point range, a 5-point lead for the Cavaliers. Kumaji rejected and saved for going out of bounds by Ty Jerome. Blocked by Huff, and this crowd's in full force here today. Hunter! And a foul is called.
Look at the defensive play by Huff, who's 7 foot, against a 7'5" guy who didn't shoot it at the top. The explosion guy, bam, right there to stick the feet first and then shoot it up top. Kyle Guy again working off a screen. There is no panic from Virginia in late clock. They have no shot clock pressure on them. They don't panic. They keep the ball moving. Kyle Guy just stuck a big one.
The foul was on Phil Kofer, his first. And the roof in this building is about to be popped off as Hunter connects to the free throw line. Some substitutions as Kihei Clark is back in. And a huge ovation for Kyle Guy, who heads to the bench now for the Cavaliers.
How good is Virginia's defense? Florida State comes in averaging 81 points a game. And with 8:29 to go, they're stuck on 11. And now they're going to have a short clock to work with because of the 1-2-2 press that Virginia just shortened you down.
They're 0 for their last 6 from the field and 1 for their last 8. Walker on the crossover. MJ Walker, he draws the foul.
Talked about Virginia, how aggressive they are with any ball screen offense of Florida State. They jump out in hard heads. Watch Huff right here. Bam! For one dribble, they bounce you out towards the timeline and then sprint back to recovery. And what you have to do against Virginia is drive the ball. UMBC drove the ball last year against Virginia, knocked them out of the NCAA tournament. Virginia Tech beat them last year, the only loss in ACC play, by driving the ball for kickouts. Tony Bennett knows, stay in front of the ball, we're in good shape.
You make great points, Jimmy. I had asked you about that earlier. It's how do you beat this team? And you just told us right there. I mean, think about it. 5 of the last 6 years, #1 in the nation in scoring defense. That's out of control.
Yeah, if you can't get paint touches, it's lights out against Virginia. You have to get them in a defensive rotation. You have to get the defense to respond to it and get kickouts. And it is not easy to get past these guys. They are so disciplined at arm's length and keeping their shoulders and their hips square to you when guarding the ball.
Jay Huff picked up his second personal foul for Virginia on that last sequence, so he's out. Diakite is back in. Here's Hunter. And a 5-point lead for UVA.
Back to their sides offense. 3 guys working off of 2. Hunter now is a big guard with that basketball.
Hunter over Forrest, and Forrest has the rebound. No field goals for Florida State the last 8 minutes. Kofer. And he finally changes that.
That was terrific D and better offense because Braxton Key kept his feet alive. He threw up a wall and made Kofer take a shot that goes in about 25 to 30% of the time.
How about this, Jimmy? No field goals over the last 8 minutes. Only down by 3
Absolutely.
points. I mean,
yes.
they got to count their blessings from that, right?
Well, they're guarding on their tails are guarding on this end as well now.
Jerome to the rack.
Wow, with a blow by on Trent Forrest, who I think guards the ball really well. Jerome has a very quick first step in person. It doesn't really jump out on film, but when you get courtside and start trying to contain number 11 in white, it's not easy. Kofer made a very difficult guarded shot when Florida State needed some momentum. Braxton Key recovers, throws a wall straight up, gets his elbows by his ears, and Phil Kofer just elevated over the top. The big first step by Ty Jerome is what got him to the paint. The long extension is what gets him the finish.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. And look forward to talking to you guys at halftime. And we have a 5-point game here with Virginia and Florida State. The Cavaliers with possession. This is Braxton Key and now Hunter. Hunter right down the lane.
Yeah, you get him in the middle third of the floor, then the thing opens up for him, and he is so good with the jab steps, with a stationary start. And he gets you off balance in a quick blow-by with the straight-line drives.
What about Hunter's ability? Might be the last year we're watching him in college, right?
I think it is. I think he's going to be a lottery pick from the scouts that I trust. Not all of them that I trust, that I talk to, but the ones that I do see the same thing. He's not going to be an NBA star, but you put him on the floor with a couple of NBA stars, and he's an unbelievable role player because of all the things he can do. He plays so well off of an unused dribble. Up top, the middle third of the floor, 2 strong power bounces, and he's quick as a cat for a kid that's 6'8" and about 225.
Hunter was just called for the foul on Fiondu Kabengele, who's at the free throw line for Florida State. Kabengele's uncle, Dikembe Mutombo, who of course played at Georgetown and then the NBA with 6 different teams. And I talked to Kabengele yesterday about it. He said he's really helped him out a lot more just about life and being a good person.
Yeah.
And certainly get a lot of experience from Mutombo. That's been great.
Leonard Hamilton, Mike's already gone 11 deep in this game. It's the constant pressure that he's counting on in the second half to try to wear Virginia down, who's only going about 8 deep.
We'll see if it works. Under 6 minutes to go first half. Guy, floater not there. An offensive rebound by Hunter. Now Key, wide open for 3. Count it!
You know what? The ball deserves to go in for Braxton Key because over the last 2 days, he's been in this gym putting in more shots than anybody else that Tony Bennett has.
The other way, Savoy for 3, and a little uncharacteristic, but it goes down, and then there's a foul on Florida State. It's going to count the basket. There's going to be a foul on MJ Walker. Braxton, clear out underneath.
Braxton Key off the tip-off rebound by Hunter. The ball finds him up top, and that's a wide open 3 that I think Virginia gets a little bit of a bad rap in terms of they always grind you down on the offensive end. That's not true. This team's averaging over 70 points a ball game, and they will take the first good look that they get. Will they turn down some and make you cover them and make a mistake? Absolutely. But they also have the freedom to take those quick threes, especially off of offensive boards.
So Virginia's in the bonus. There was the foul on Walker on the wraparound on the 3-point basket that was made. So heading to the free throw line is Mamadi Diakite. And the 1-and-1 rebounded by Kabengele.
It's a tap-and-go ball screen that time in transition by Kabengele. And Florida State get that ball side to side. Try to get Virginia in a rotation. Don't settle in mid-clock.
Nichols, that's a travel. Still a 6-point lead for Virginia. Monday on ESPN, the College Football Playoff National Championship game from Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. The Tide and the Tigers, round 4 here. Alabama and Clemson, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. Also on the ESPN app. Can't wait for that. Coming up in just 2 days.
Nick Saban going for his 7th national championship. Right now tied with Bear Bryant for 6th. Would sit on that platform all by himself if they're able to knock off a really good Clemson team.
Teams played for the title 2 years straight. Last year in the semis, and now back to the championship game. That'll be on Monday night. With a foul here on MJ Walker for Florida State, and Guy is at the free throw line. He's got 11 points so far in this first half. And he just has fun out there, right? I mean, you talked to him yesterday. I mean, he's enjoying what he's doing, not only on the court, off the court. He's engaged to be married. Comes from a big family. His fiancee, Alexa Jenkins.
I tell you what, it's important to have a guy that has joy about him in practice and in games. And I think Kyle Guy, he does so much for this Virginia team. I'm not so sure that's not as important as anything else. He keeps this team loose. He keeps this team having fun playing basketball in an ACC grind that's in front of this club and all of them for the next 2.5 months.
And he's only a junior as well. He picks up the foul. Hunter heads to the bench. It's a 1-and-1 here now for Florida State.
Walker on film coming in. To me, if he wasn't making a shot, he wasn't doing anything for you. He wasn't getting to the free throw line. He wasn't driving for assists for others. But so far in this game now, he's done a good job of chasing shooters on the defensive end, and he's done more than just spot up for knock down shots offensively.
He didn't play in the last game. He had the flu. He also missed one other game earlier this year with an ankle injury, but really a great shooter, one of the best defenders on the team. They're going to need his effort here today if Florida State's going to pull off this upset.
He was a 4-star wide receiver out of high school with offers from Clemson, Miami, and Michigan. That's how good of an athlete that Walker is.
He had 22 tickets in this game here today for friends and family coming to watch him play. MJ Walker for Florida State.
Well, they are making Virginia work the entire 94 feet on this floor.
Guy. Ty Jerome, and he gets shut off. Key, another three-point ball. Got it again.
He was in the gym yesterday when I walked in. He was in the gym yesterday when I walked out. He was in the gym this morning when I walked in again. The only one on the floor. The ball deserves to go in right now for Braxton Key because he's putting in the work.
Steal. Jay Huff up the court. Key, no, he's fouled.
How about the ability of Jack Salt to handle that ball? He's a 7-footer, Mike. The ball was down below his knees. And for him to come up with it, look at this right here. That thing gets low and he stays with it and gets it out in front of Braxton Key. Very important that Salt understood. Throw that thing out in front of Key so he can catch it in stride and at least get himself to the free throw line. Jack Salt is all about embracing how do I need to play for Virginia to win. Set screens, rebound, anchor the team defensively with my voice. He does everything that Tony Bennett needs.
And how scary is this? Salt is the only senior on this Virginia team. And we know how good Virginia is, right?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Tony Bennett is all about the fundamentals. He even talks about the daily vitamins that he feeds his team as a head coach. Yesterday he was working with his guys on the old school toss backs, understanding the importance of where you pass the basketball today has to be probably a foot or two outside the normal catch zone because of the length of Florida State.
Missed three ball by Anthony Polite. It's going to be Virginia possession when we come back.
Kyle Guy does it all. Pin downs, baseline runners. He'll bump you to the corner. He'll curl to jump shots. He'll wrap screens. He'll flare them. He'll flip the flares. And right now he's giving a little dose of everything. His elevation and his pop. His release, his rotation, and result. Spot on.
All right, guys, we'll catch you at the half here. 3:30 away from that as it's an 11-point lead for the Cavaliers, largest of the game. They've hit 4 of their last 5 from the field, and Florida State is 2 for their last 10.
Mike, I think because of what Coach said, talking about Seth, this is why Virginia, I think, is a legitimate Final Four, could win the whole thing. This is a very good offensive team. You know the defense is going to be there, and now Cofer and Salt get a little active with each other, but they can score from all 5 spots. They can score multiple ways, and look at the Virginia's daily vitamins. The old school tossbacks, and it's been 20 years since I've seen a rebounding machine like that.
Can you get up to that?
No, you have to lower it down, but it teaches you to grab rebounds strong with 2 hands. And Tony Bennett is terrific at developing not only teams but individuals. And it just doesn't happen by chance that they always lead the nation in terms of fewest turnovers because of the daily vitamins that he forces into his program for 10 or 15 minutes at the start of every practice.
We're going to have a double technical foul assessed here. One for Jack Salt for Virginia, 33, and then Phil Kofer for Florida State. That's going to be the second personal foul for each guy.
When you look up Kofer with 2 fouls, Mann has only played 3 minutes in this game for Florida State with 2 fouls. And there's a just walk away, act like you've been in big games before. There's no reason for it. But you're going to see everything going to another level with conference play beginning across the country. The coaching, the officiating, the play, the preparation, all those things now are escalated. But you never want to cross the line in terms of having pure passion, but taking it one step too far.
First ever AP top 10 matchup between these two teams as well, as Florida State is ranked number 9 and Virginia number 4 here today. We knew how big this one was coming into this matchup. Kofer's going to take a seat, so does Salt.
I think it's an important 3 minutes for Florida State. They have to stay in contact in this game. And staying in contact for Virginia looks a little different than staying in contact with other teams. You cannot go down 12, 14 points. They got to get to the half, get Terrence Mann on the floor in the second half because he's their leading scorer, and get him involved in this game if they have a chance.
I agree with you, Jimmy. That's not going to help here. Raekwon Gray gets called for a foul away from the ball for Florida State. And that turns it back over to the Cavaliers. You're right. When you get down against this team, I mean, the damage is done. How difficult is it to come back on a Virginia team with this defense? It's not.
They don't beat themselves. I mean, in order you get down, you need to force turnovers. And good luck doing that to this team in white on their home floor.
And Virginia is number 1 in the country in fewest turnovers a game. So that'll tell you something right there. They've got 3 so far today. Here's Kyle Guy. Now for Clark.
Guy got away with passing the ball to the inside shoulder of Kihei Clark.
Jerome for 3. Rebounded by Polite. Nice kick and wide open in the corner, and missing on the 3 this time is Nichols, and a foul on the rebound of the Seminoles, and that's on Kumaji.
I've got no problem with the shot, though, because it's difficult to grind away against Virginia. You get a wide open one in the first 5 seconds off your transition. The ball just doesn't drop for 11 in black Nichols. And you can't run offense any better than that for 30 seconds and get a better look. And those are the ones you have to make.
You got to have that. Nichols transfer out of Albany, scored over 1,300 points there.
I saw Diakite in the Bahamas when I was hanging out with my buddy Sebastian, the Sea Lion, for 5 days.
Yeah.
And this kid, I'm telling you, he's a real X factor, Mike, because he can slide down and defend a 3. He can slide up and defend a 5. He's an active driver from the elbow. He can make 15-footers. He has kind of changed Virginia. When Key slid out of the starting lineup, this kid has slid in. And he plays with a ton of energy now with long arms.
With a 6'9", 230-pound frame as well. 13-point lead for the Cavaliers, largest of this first half. They're 10 of 11 from the free throw line today. And did we mention they're 7th in the country at the free throw line? Add that to the list. Nichols off of his leg out of bounds to Virginia.
Virginia has a way of speeding you up offensively because they are there on the catch. They're disciplined to be arm's length away. They get one hot touch on you. They stick their nose right on the ball. As you start to drive, that gap help defense is there waiting on you. And Florida State's on the verge of heading into halftime down 15, 16 points if they don't have a really good last 2 minutes.
We just saw Leonard Hamilton watch his team with their 8th turnover of the game so far. It's a 7-0 run by Virginia over the last 2.5 minutes. Clark off the screen. And it's deflected out by Polite with 8 on the shot clock.
I think Virginia has gotten a little bit of a bad rap, saying that they don't have the type of talent that Kentucky, Michigan, other teams, Kansas. I disagree. I disagree. I think this is, you got 2 guards in Guy and Jerome that are big-time, all ACC type guards. You got a future lottery pick, I believe, in Hunter. You got role players around them. Talented kids in a talented system. There's one of them.
How do you stop that? Kyle Guy. Fade away 3, coach, so the guy in his face.
But he's 6'3", Mike, and we might get a look at it. He actually has a little bit of a lean back, which helps him make and take tough guarded threes.
Gray comes back for Florida State. The redshirt freshman. It's his first bucket of the day. They needed something. It's a 14-point game.
The basket looks so big to Kyle Guy right now. He had 7 made threes in the last ball game. And he is a clinic working off the screens.
Another one!
If you think you are a shooter, go back and watch this game and watch Kyle Guy, number 5 in white. The work he does before the ball gets in his hands. Violent, fast cuts, reads his defender, goes shoulder to shoulder. and it's in and out of his shot pocket as quick as anyone we have in the college game. Here he comes again.
Going to try to get it back to him. No, underneath. It's Key.
This team is the whole package, Mike. I said it in the beginning, I'll say it again. The ACC regular season title, I think, still runs through Charlottesville, Virginia. And Kyle Guy is going to have a lot to say about it.
Kyle Guy has 18 points, perfect from three-point range, 6 for 7 from the field. This guy is unreal. And I hear what you're saying.
The lean back, yeah, he can make guarded shots. And guys in the studio, that guy right there, number 5, win a lot of ball games.
There's Chris Connor, LaFonso Ellis, and Seth Greenberg, guys. Welcome back to Saturday Showcase, presented by 5 Hour Energy. Kyle Guy has been outstanding, 4 for 4 from three-point range, and the reason why Virginia is on top by 19 points at the half, 42-23, as we welcome you back to Charlottesville, Virginia. Everyone, Mike Corey alongside Jimmy Dykes, and this top 10 matchup here going in favor of Virginia right now. And boy, you had broken down earlier today about Kyle Guy and what he's done coming off screens and why he's been so successful. Here's a look at it.
He is hard to guard. Talking about 5 and white, Kyle Guy. He gives you so many things to think about and chase around in the half court. The pin down action has been good for Kyle Guy in this game, and he has come out ready to shoot, and then the ability to put the ball and finish with length around the rim. He's also giving you a little dose of curl. It wasn't a real hard curl, but just enough to get Polite trailing the play, and then Salt jumps up, who has not scored a basket in this game, but has set big-time screens. And there's the explosion that Kyle Guy can make hard-guarded shots. Virginia, Mike, think about this. They have shot a combined 188% from the floor in the first half when you combine their field goal percentage, their three-point percentage, and their free throw percentage as well.
11 of 13 over the last couple of games for Kyle Guy. Career high 30 in the last game versus Marshall. Certainly picking up right where he left off, and the second half is underway. .23 points is the fewest scored in a half this year by Florida State. Guy again. Really? Oh, man.
If you put a stopwatch on how quickly the ball was in and out of his hands, there's going to be less than half a second. That's how quick his release is.
Kofor responds the other way. Phil Kofor, he's got 9 points for Florida State.
If they have any chance, the Seminoles are getting back in this game. They cannot turn the ball over 8 times like they did in the first half. Kofor has to have a big second half. And number 14, Terrence Mann, their leading scorer, has to be a factor offensively.
Well, Jimmy, it's also going to have to be the best halftime comeback in school history by Florida State, by the way, as well, too. We were told they were down by 19 points. Be their largest ever comeback.
Do you like the odds? I'm just asking you right now. You're saying it's going to be the biggest comeback in school history, and they're going to have to do it on the road against Virginia, right, who I think is one of the top 2 teams in college ball right now, along with the Tennessee Volunteers.
I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm saying if they do, that's what it would be, yes. And the odds are not in their favor. You're absolutely right. Traveling violation on MJ Walker after Ty Jerome just hit a basket for UVA.
Yeah, he's a big 6'6" point guard that, again, his speed is quicker than you realize when you get courtside with him. And look at this. It was less than half a second, and he actually caught that one with his shoulders not squared up to the rim. It took a little bit of time to get himself square.
Kyle Guy leads the ACC with an average of 3 3-pointers per game, and his percentage is now well over 46% on the season from three-point range, probably over 50 after the performance today. He hasn't missed. 5 for 5. Mid-range jumper on the way off the mark. Salt on the offensive rebound and right back to Diakite.
The pass from Jack Salt was on time and on target for a big 7-foot, 250-pound guy that looks like he was always foul. I'm telling you, his importance to this Virginia team is very understated because he cares about things that Virginia cares about. and sets those devastating screens. He's a servant to others with his game. Talking about Jack Salt. There's the space off for the drive by Guy, and then Jack Salt keeps it alive, and bam, the bounce pass, the old fundamental school bounce pass. It comes up waist high. His game's about servanthood, off the pass, off of keeping balls alive, setting screens for others.
How about the vision? He just had a block here, by the way. Then he knew Diakite was there cutting to the basket. That no-look pass for the easy dunk.
Doesn't Jack Salt look like a guy that would foul?
Yeah,
he just, when he steps on the court, he almost starts the game with 2 personal fouls
right.
just because of how he looks and how he's built and how he plays. He is a bruiser that's a key piece for Virginia in their pursuit of trying to win their 4th ACC regular season title in the past 6 years if they do it.
We just had the first miss from 3-point range today by Kyle Guy. Now what's his deal? Now 5 of 6.
First on the team in the second.
Completely out of rhythm right now is Kyle Guy.
Way off. The former Mr. Basketball Indiana is having a night for the Cavaliers. How about our coaches here in today's matchup? Not often do you get this, right, Jimmy? 3 National Coach of the Year awards for both Leonard Hamilton and Tony Bennett.
Yeah, they are big time dialed in terms of how they handle their kids, how they coach their kids, and both of them stand for a lot more than just winning ball games. I know those are great accolades for them, but they take tremendous pride in developing their guys into men. And we had that great conversation with Leonard last night at their shoot-around. Certainly Tony Bennett's wired differently than a lot of college coaches in terms of who he is and what he stands for with his faith and how he just does not waver in terms of how he sees the game and how it's supposed to be coached.
Yeah, both have done tremendous jobs. I mean, I think back with Leonard Hamilton, too. 61 of his 63 four-year seniors at Florida State have graduated. And then you go back to the 10 years that he spent at Miami. And of all those years, 26 years, I've only had 5 seniors that did not graduate. He's just done a tremendous job. Yep. Offensive rebound. Good effort there by Cabangeli. 21-point game, though, in favor of Virginia. Kyle Guy has it. He's at 5 of 6 from 3-point range. Hunter off the screen. Got it.
He is so hard to handle because of his 6'8", 225. He can absorb contact, play through contact, knock down guarded shots at the ACC logo.
Well, you were there, right? He had the MVP in that battle for Atlantis.
Yeah, you can slide him up and down defensively. You can guard a bigger guy, a smaller guy.
Cabangeli get a shot redirected, no foul. Here come the Cavaliers. And think back to Hunter. Remember, he was unavailable for that tournament game, too. A lot of people forget about that. He didn't play in that, that loss in that first-round matchup last year.
Yeah, and they had no time to really practice or get organized without him. And
right.
I think they're built for a deeper run this year because of Hunter. They've gotten better as a team. Kihei Clark changes them up a little bit. Tony Bennett's team, hard to handle.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by H&R Block. In person or online, Block has your back.
ACC will bring in the ACC network in August. 15 universities, one network. Visit getaccn.com to learn more. How about the ACC right now, Jimmy? Look at these teams.
They've done their work in non-conference play, and as a result, they're projecting 8, 9, probably close to 10 teams, maybe in the NCAA tournament. And with ACC action starting in full swing today, you look up and North Carolina won at Pitt. Kobe White had 22 points. Luke May with a double-double. Syracuse, who I still think has the makings of being a Final Four team. People are saying, you got to be kidding me. Not at all. I still think they have the makings of winning 4 games in that NCAA tournament, getting there. And Elijah Hughes was big today on the road with 22 points. He's a guy that can score, something they didn't have last year, Syracuse. And I like teams that have guys with road guts. And you prove it right now in conference play on the road, putting up big numbers.
North Carolina and NC State play on Tuesday at 9 o'clock on ESPN. We'll have that one for you. So you think about how great the conference is, and there's a foul. Virginia, they're going to call an offensive here. Or traveling violation, excuse me, on Diakite. You got 4 teams in the top 10. It's an NCAA best. NC State's off to the best start since their title team in 73-74. We just talked about the depth and how many potential teams might get to the tournament, and it's believable.
If you have not watched NC State play, Markel Johnson is as good as about any guard in the ACC. Just he's fast, he's tough, he can take a hit, he makes shots, keeps his guys really get after you. This will be the league that puts the most teams in the NCAA tournament when that bracket's released come March.
Guy misfires. Only his second miss in quite some time here for the Cavaliers. They still lead it by 23. Three-pointer on the way. Off the mark by Kamengeli. Florida State is only 2 of 8 this half from the field. 6 minutes gone by.
Mike, I want to state the obvious. It's 51-28. The team with 28 is ranked 9th in the nation.
Right.
That's how good Virginia is playing in this game. That's how good Virginia is this year overall.
Crowd wanted a foul, no call. Coulter's got the ball now for Florida State. Now we've got a whistle, and it's going to be on Virginia. It's on Diakite. The second. I don't know how upset you could be if you're a Virginia fan. So right now, right with a 23-point lead.
Jack Salt goes
it's a
up.
Block.
Yeah, that's a good block. And then Diakite doesn't get fouled and then falls into the Florida State player. Virginia lost one game. One game last year, Mike, against ACC competition in the regular season in the tournament. And we all know how good this league is and the battles you go through on the road. Last year, look at what they did. Just the school record and wins and what they did to this league in terms of regular season and on the road what they went and did. And then the stumble against UMBC.
Well, you had said it earlier. I mean, they for some reason don't always seem to get the respect, and the numbers are crazy from what you're looking at right there. How about this number? 43-3 over the last 2 years. I mean, what do you want?
It's so difficult to get a clean look against Virginia. The way they sit on that nail and they attack the gap when you attack them, and they attack it with 2 hands. It's kind of unique in what they do. A lot of teams will kind of stunt or hand help with 1 hand. Virginia aggressively attacks the basketball with 2 hands from that help defender. And it is a nightmare to try to score against Tony Bennett's guys. They influence the ball middle. They get a hand up on the wing, Mike. So their post defense starts with how they defend the ball on the wing, not letting the ball go baseline. And they have an open stance away from the ball. So the ball is the most important thing defensively. Movement is the most important thing offensively as a player. And they don't lose sight of that basketball as weak side.
Salt try to get it down low. Now it's Key. Back to Salt. And he's fouled. And one thing I don't want to forget about, too, it really doesn't get mentioned, about the conditioning, from these players, right? They go 8 deep. They play this ferocious style all game long. I mean, that says a lot, too. You got to be well conditioned.
Hard cutting and staying in a stance and talking can wear you out just as much as a team that presses 94 feet and runs up and down the floor, if not more so. This is a very well-conditioned team. And look at that game coming up after us. I saw up in the left-hand corner, Kansas at Iowa State. Azubuike's not going to play today.
Yeah.
Fell in practice and injured his wrist. That's big news. I talked to Fran Fraschilla last night. I will not be surprised at all if Iowa State doesn't beat Kansas today in Hilton Coliseum. That place will be electric. Mariel Shayok, who transferred out of Virginia, is leading scorer for Iowa State. They got terrific guard play. Monster game coming up in the Big 12 after this.
Here's a three-pointer by Anthony Polite. That's 5 for him. I agree with you. Coming up right after us here on ESPN2. Number 5, Kansas, 12-1. Iowa State, 11-2. Here it is for you.
Well, Shayok can really make baskets, and he left here as a guy that Tony Bennett really respected how he played the game. I think he wanted to go somewhere where He felt like he could maybe be a bigger piece offensively overall. He has found those numbers at Iowa State. I know the score is 53-31, but it's being played right now like Clemson and Alabama are going to go at it Monday night in the Rose Bowl. High contact game.
Virginia well in command here today in this top 10 matchup versus Florida State, 53-31. Welcome back to Charlottesville, everyone. Mike Corey, Jimmy Dykes, our producer Eric Mosley, our director Bonnie Riley. Good to have you with us here today. And a big day of college basketball, and we thought that it was going to be closer. What's been happening here from your perspective that Virginia just kind of pulling away here in this one?
Well, Virginia, they know who they are, as well as anybody in college ball, Mike, and it's a united pursuit of how we play. Every time we step on the floor, and they give you nothing defensively because they have a certain style and a certain way they cover ball screens. They don't have to change up in terms of game to game. So everyone's tied in and connected on the defensive end. The defense is always tight. It's hard to get the ball to the paint. If you can't make quick shots in the first 5 seconds in transition or in late clock shots, you're going to get your nose knocked by Virginia in ACC play again this year. Last year in ACC play, ACC opponents averaged 47 possessions of offense a game against Virginia. They didn't even get to 50 possessions. That's how difficult it is to beat Tony's team, because they don't turn it over and they get their half-court defense set for 2 hours.
Well, that's a huge number right there. Florida State, in their last game in the win over Winthrop, they had 73 possessions. So it just shows you how much difference it is when you take on this Virginia team. 25 less times to put the ball in the basket. Yeah, that hurts.
Back in there, what they call sides offense, designed to get the ball from side to side, and no late clock panic by Virginia.
Rebound trickles out to Florida State. David Nichols.
Look where they push you out on those ball screens. The guard goes over the top with the screener, and the big steps hard and then sprints out. Again, in and out of the coverage with that speed, hard to handle.
Coming up tonight after Clemson and #1 Duke right here on ESPN, we've got Zubin Mehenti in Sports Center. Comprehensive coverage from the Colts-Texans playoff tilt, plus post-game reaction from Duke's ACC opener and more, and the first meeting of the big men and the Mavs and the Sixers. All that coming up on Sports Center tonight after Clemson Duke on ESPN and the ESPN app.
I was talking to Trent Forrest earlier this week, the kid at the free throw line for Florida State. And he's the only guy in their top 7 that has more assists than turnovers. So the huge responsibility on this kid in ACC play to take care of that basketball. But we started talking about Virginia, and he said, all I know is you cannot make a mistake. Virginia's going to make you pay. And if you make a mistake in terms of your defensive coverage and you don't lock and trail guys off of screens, you're giving up open looks. And he knew what they were in for today. This is a veteran Florida State team with guys like Forrest and Kofor that have been through here before. But
all right, so they changed the foul. That's what they were looking at here. The foul's on Kyle Guy now, his first for Virginia.
Can his fiancée shoot? Kyle Guy, do you know? Have you done your research?
Right.
Is she a good
Alexa?
shooter?
I don't know.
Can she shoot the basketball?
To ask her.
If she can, I'm offering. If I'm a coach, I'm offering a scholarship right now to the firstborn.
Right. That's where you do your recruiting, right? You got to get to the guy household. Yeah.
Yeah, start early.
He's trying to start early, so we'll see. Who knows?
Watch Key, number 2 in white and 33 in white Salt, just continue to pound in terms of setting screens.
Guy misfires there. Hey, how about prior to this, with missing the 3, he had 5 threes in a row today. He set the school record, 11 straight three-pointers made. He had 6 against Marshall in his first 5 today. Kevin Gelly way off in the shot for Florida State.
Virginia spends a lot of time shooting on rims in their practice facility that have double rims. So it makes it a little bit more of a tighter fit for the ball to go through. And then you take that second rim off, on game day, and that thing looks a little bit bigger. Tony Bennett is so on top of all the small things that develop players in this system.
Had a steam coming up the court here as Trent Forrest. Ball got knocked away. Fight for it. We're going to stay with Florida State. Kofor's coming back into the game for the Seminoles. And, to your point earlier about Florida State, I mean, of course, we're talking Virginia here because they're up 21 points, but this is number 9 in the country.
Yes.
They're 12-1. They're having a great season. They're deep. They're going to provide a lot of problems for teams throughout the rest of this campaign. Heads up for Florida State, I'd say, come NCAA tournament time as well.
Florida State has 7 of their top 8 back that got to that Elite 8 game last year. That's how good they are. I'm not sure they're a top 10 team. They're certainly a top 20 team that is built to, get to the Sweet 16, and once you're there, because they're old, they have size, they're just up against the best defensive team in the country on their home floor this afternoon.
And the shot clock is going to expire on Florida State, and a rise from this Virginia crowd. Yeah, to your point here, 5 different players with 20-point games for Florida State. Their balance is there. They've got the bench. It's quality depth, as you said earlier.
Yeah. Whole bunch of dudes that are 220 pounds or over. Only a couple of guys under the 200-pound mark. This may be Braxton Key's best game so far as a Virginia Cavalier. He's got 12 or 14 points. He's defended the drive really, really well, keeping his feet alive. He's gotten on the boards. And that's a huge plus going forward if number 2 in white continues to play at this clip.
Well, and he has it right now, working his way inside, knocked out of bounds. And with 7 on the shot clock, UVA will put it in with a 21-point lead. We haven't had any field goals by either team in the last 3.5 minutes.
There won't be any panic with 7 on the shot clock out of Virginia. They will execute cleanly. They have no problem shooting shots with 1 or 2 on the clock.
Here is Key.
There it is. Got it with 2. They just don't panic. I mean, that's such a hard thing to ingrain into your guys because, we're all wired to kind of push the panic button and get sped up in that situation. Virginia is the best in the country at making late clock shots and not panicking in the process.
Braxton Key's got 14 points, 5 of 8 from the field for Virginia. Walker on the pull-up.
Those kind of shots just get you further and further behind. Not making Virginia move defensively, not making them work, taking guarded shots on the road. Florida State, 29% from the field in this game.
Not going to get it done. Jerome. Rebounded by the Seminoles. Terrence Mann, haven't heard too much from him today. Pass deflected. And we'll step aside. 7:47 left in this one. All Cavaliers here at home. Coming up next.
Well, I think they do. And looking at Kansas going forward, their lack of outside shooting, to me, is a huge concern. And Dedrick Lawson, as a 4, is only 4 out of 23 from the three-point line. If he's going to play that 4 position and not keep things bottled up with Azubuike when he does get back, he's got to have the ability to stretch the defense. I'm not sold on Kansas right now being a top 4 or 5 team. I think they're going to win the Big 12, and Texas Tech is going to be right there nipping at their heels along the way. Chris Beard, to me right now, is the mid-season coach of the year in terms of what they lost and where they are. But I expect Iowa State to hang one on Kansas after our game's finished this evening.
That's a solid slate of games still on the way next. We've got 4 more to go for you right here on this Saturday. Forrest. Now it's Kofor for 3. And Guy's got the rebound. The foul was on Hunter, his 3rd for Virginia, but no real harm in that right now with a 23-point lead. Florida State has 1 for their last 9 from the field. Virginia's actually struggled from the field here lately over the last 3 or 4 minutes. But when you build up so much equity like this, Jimmy, it's so hard to come back on it.
Yep, they're still taking good shots. They just hit a little bit of a cold stretch right now. Virginia's so disciplined in their conversion from offense to defense. They sprint to the blue part of the floor, they build a wall, and then they attach out from there.
I mean, they're 1 for their last 12 from the field. They're still up by 20 plus. Cofer the offensive rebound.
Mike, Florida State came in averaging 81 points a game. They have 32 with 6.5 to go.
That's unbelievable. Shot clock violation.
This fan base, they understand ball, don't they?
Yep.
When that shot clock gets below 10 in this building gets loud and it gets lit. And they force a shot clock violation.
14,623 sellout here in Charlottesville. They're loving it. Clemson 10-3 on the season at #1 Duke, 11-1, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Can't wait to watch Zion Williamson again and the Blue Devils and more coming up tonight as college basketball rolls on, our Saturday night matchup.
Zion Williamson is must-see TV, isn't he? If you've had your head down and studying college football or the NFL, you need to understand how good this kid is, Zion Williamson. He's a freak athlete, 6'6", 270 pounds. We haven't seen anybody like him. I haven't. Chris Beard right now would be my coach of the year because of what they lost with Keenan Evans and where he has his team ranked just outside the top 10. Michigan, to me, is the surprise team of the year so far because of what Coach Beilein lost, and they're sitting there with a 14-0 record. Tennessee's the best team I've seen. Tennessee and Virginia right now, to me, are the best two teams that we have in college ball. And Tennessee, with their mismatched guys of Schofield and Grant Williams, I believe they're up 34 right now in their game against Georgia in their SEC opener. And I'll see Tennessee Tuesday night with Carl Ravitch in Columbia, Missouri for a Super Tuesday showdown at Missouri, and that will be a fist fight because Missouri and Conzo Martin, they give you nothing on the defensive end of the floor. Very similar to Virginia.
I look forward to watching that matchup. I know a lot of people like watching Tennessee this year.
Yes, they're fun to watch. Yes, they are. They have a collective pursuit in terms of how they play, very similar to Virginia. And the mismatch monster that Grant Williams is, he's right there behind Zion Williamson, in my estimation, in that running for National Player of the Year.
Walker. Cofer hands off for Gray. It's a traveling violation.
There's nowhere to go, Mike, is there? We're sitting around like there's nowhere to go. There's a white jersey every time on the touch for Florida State. They talk and communicate. They switch only when they have to. They push up and get over ball screens. They hard hedge and knock you out. Their coverage into and out of ball screens is outstanding, and they clean up the miss.
And you got to move quicker too, right? You got to move the ball on that defense. And you got to spread them out.
Absolutely.
You got to spread them out. You got to move it quicker. You can't be unsure of yourself playing offense against Virginia.
You have to drive the ball to the paint or have someone that can do it. Nice find by Kyle Guy. This is the best basketball that Braxton Key has played since he transferred from Alabama. And Alabama wins in the first half. A big opening win for them today in the SEC. Kentucky goes on the road and from a big part of that game could not make a three-point shot the last time I was tracking them.
Virginia's got 19 points off of Florida State turnovers today. 19-0 in that category. That's a big key and reason why they're up 25 points.
West Virginia turned it over in this ball game. Not very many, like 5 or 6 times at most, I think. For Virginia, 5 turnovers. That's why you don't get points off their turnovers. They're not giving it to you.
Guy the rebound. Up to Jerome, looking for the cutter. Yes, Key, and he's fouled hard.
Gosh, the energy and the fight of Braxton Key, again in conversion from defense to offense, because that ball was thrown with some zip now down the floor to Ty Jerome, and Braxton Key just with a duck your nose and sprint to the rim, and the ball finds energy. And Two in White has played with a lot of it today.
Braxton Key started 5 games earlier this year for Virginia, so as great as this guy's been, now you got him coming off the bench.
Yeah.
What does that say?
Well, it tells you the depth that I think that the Virginia team has this year over last year. You have a guy like Braxton Key, who's another physical screener, rebounder, obviously finding his way to be a scorer right now. Kihei Clark can change them. Kihei Clark's a defender that playing with a surgically repaired wrist right now that can stick his nose on the ball and keep a fast point guard out of the lane, something that really bothered Virginia last year in their loss to UMBC.
Virginia's at 93% of their free throws today, is driving through his nickels. So this guy, Kyle Guy, just a junior too. That's another thing. He's got another year to go for Virginia. No look. Key. Yes.
Kyle Guy has gravity ability. When the ball's in his hands, the defense gets sucked towards number 5 in white, and it just opens up a lot of cuts, a lot of basket cuts, a lot of angles for Kyle Guy to work with, more than just a shooter.
Key's got 20 points. Way off on the three is man. And it's just not happening, obviously, today for Florida State.
Told you before the game, Virginia was a 9-point favorite, and I said that's a wrong line.
And what did I say to you? I said, yeah, except when you look up and it's a double-digit lead, perhaps, and now it's up to almost 30.
Almost 30.
Right.
It's the number 9 team in the country. Florida State's just going to have to shake this one off and understand, okay,
yep,
we've got Florida off of our schedule. You only play them once, and get locked in what's coming in, because coming up next Saturday, the Duke Blue Devils go to Tallahassee. Hello, ACC.
Not a fun stretch.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5 Hour Energy Shots. Get back to 100%. And in part by Lexus. Experience amazing.
All right, gentlemen. Boy, everybody's got Iowa State, right?
Yeah, I think today, Kansas without Azubuike, that's a game changer. And Bill Self's going to have to figure out when Azubuike gets back how to play he and Lawson together, because the floor right now is crowded with those two big guys on the floor, and you have to have Azubuike on the floor when he's healthy because of the rim protection that he gives you. The problem I have with Kansas right now, I don't think they're a top 5 team, because Azubuike shooting 34% as a free throw shooter. That's not good news going forward. Their inability to knock down threes consistently, and Dedrick Lawson not doing anything right now to stretch the defense from that 4 position.
Standing ovation for Kyle Guy, and they should. 21 points for him today, 7 of 11 from the field. He hit 5 of 6 three-pointers. Perfect at the free throw line, and his day is done with a 61-34 advantage for Virginia.
I asked Kyle Guy before the game, said, "You're not going to get shook on me today, are you?" He just looked at me with a smile like, "Man, what are you talking about?" I'm just messing with him. It's a big game, 4 versus 9, and no fear. Just great joy and passion about how he plays, and the rim right now looks really big to 5 in white. He is classic, hard to guard, and Virginia and Tennessee, to me, the best 2 teams in college ball right now, the way they're playing.
Yeah,
it may not be that way 3 weeks from now. Right now, they're the best 2 teams.
Absolutely. And that combination right there is Guy gets a little wave to the crowd. Also, high five for Braxton Key, who's coming out. And Ty Jerome, you see sitting there as well. Just a great trio.
Yes.
And the camaraderie from this team, too. I mean, it's all smiles, because on and off the court, this is together basketball at its best.
They've beaten the Wahoo out of the Seminoles today, haven't they?
They have.
It is 63-36.
Well, the fewest points that Florida State scored this year was versus Villanova, and they had 60.
Wow.
36 right now.
You think they'll get to 60?
No.
They're going to have to get hot in a hurry, aren't they?
And try to get to 40 first. The jumper is up and good by Francesco Badocchi. Out of Italy, the redshirt freshman. This is 3rd game of the season, and he hits a 3.
I got a feeling we're going to see the student manager Kersey in this ball game at some point, right? What a great story he is. Student manager that Tony Bennett says, you know what, you stand for everything right about this program. And grandfather, I believe, a long-time NBA official. He's on the end of the bench right now. And if he comes in, it's worth staying for the last 158, because if he gets the ball and he makes a shot, this building erupts.
Well, and they finally gave Kersey a jersey. Before he was wearing a jersey just said Virginia on the back. Now he's got number 13, and he did. He hit the 3-pointer at the buzzer in the last game for Virginia's 100th point in the win versus Marshall, and that's the first time under Coach Bennett they've scored 100 points. Under 2 to go. Jaden Nixon working inside for the Cavaliers.
Well, the grind begins in this league. We talked about in the first half. They've done their work as a conference in non-conference play to be projecting 8, 9, maybe even 10 teams in the NCAA tournament. I think you're going to find maybe 2 teams in the Final Four out of this one league. Virginia, Duke, North Carolina, Florida State could still get there. I know they're getting a beat down right now in front of us. Virginia Tech's capable of getting there. I think Syracuse is capable of getting there. You're talking about a lot of teams that have the ability to win 4 games in a row, and the last time that they did it here was back in '84. And I have no problem at all with their style, how they play. Can they advance in the tournament? No, absolutely. Absolutely. Did they get beat last year by a 16 seed? Yes, it happened. Things lined up well, and Tony Bennett told me after that game, the first film he watched on UMBC, he knew they were in trouble because of how UMBC played and the fact that DeAndre Hunter wasn't able to go. And they will feel a little pressure in their first game, I'm sure, but this team has embraced it. They haven't walked away from it. They've attacked it head on, and they have their target set on winning this ACC regular season title for the 4th time in the past 6 years if they're able to do it this season.
Well, and not to be crazy and look ahead, but let's talk about that January 19th matchup, Virginia at Duke. We'll have it for you on ESPN. I can't wait to see that game and what that's going to mean right now for each of these 2 teams and their progress this season.
I saw that the Duke student section has started a GoFundMe page to fly last year's point guard, I believe, from UMBC to that game just to harass Virginia.
Right.
You know what my thoughts are on that? Ain't going to matter to Virginia. It's not going to matter to Virginia. You can bring the entire UMBC team down that night to Cameron Indoor. These guys are mature. They're tough. You're not going to get them out of how they play. Duke may win the ball game. It won't have anything to do with the point guard from UMBC sitting in the stands that night.
Yeah, it's going to be one heck of a matchup, though. Can't wait for it here. It's college basketball in full swing now. We've got 4 more games coming your way. When this one's done, we'll get you to Kansas at Iowa State. Upset alert on that one, so look forward to seeing what happens there. Florida State just did not have it today. Basket and a foul here for David Nichols. Virginia's so tough offensively and defensively. We talked about them being number 1 in the country in scoring defense for now the 5th out of 6 straight years, and fewest turnovers in the nation, 7th in free throw percentage. The numbers are so amazing, and it all adds up to why this team is going to still be one of 4 remaining undefeated teams in the country.
Yeah, and Florida State's going to get 8 or 10 points here in the last couple of minutes off of, you know, the backups to the backup right now in a couple of key spots for Virginia. But this is a team, Virginia, that this is why I think the ACC regular season travels through Charlottesville, because this guy coaches a style that's going to travel. His defense is going to travel. His sides, blocker, mover, offensive system is going to travel. And they, like I said, they know who they are collectively as well as any group that we have right now in college basketball.
How about the recruiting that him and his staff have done to get guys to come here to play in this system, and the right guys and the right fit? You know, it's an identity now, that's for sure. And you called it a moment ago. For the student manager, Grant Kersey, who's now going to check into the game here for Virginia. 47 seconds left.
He's played 12 minutes. And even John Grisham understands the importance of Kersey checking in. This kid has not missed a shot this year. He's 3 out of 3 from the field, 2 out of 2 from the three-point line, and he's made all 5 of his free throws. So the only guy in the building that's a better shooter than Kyle Guy is Kersey with the ball right now. It's the only, he and Tony Bennett.
Right.
Tony Bennett still the career all-time leader in NCAA, 49.7% from the three-point line for Tony Bennett's career.
Guy's going to be tracking that down, that's for sure. We'll see if he gets it, you know, when his career is all said and done. A steal, Vassell, and he is fouled.
I'm telling you, the game won't look as bad. But just watch the last 2 minutes and the number of points that Florida State's going to score. Going to make it look a little bit more respectable than it really was.
Coach Hamilton's group, and you said it, it's the look says it all too, but then you got Miami at home and you got Duke at home. It does not get any easier. This is just one outstanding conference. And it's fun. It's fun basketball to watch, night in and night out. Got to thank Andy Jones, our statistician today, doing a great job. Thank you so much. Greg Bickaberis, our stage manager here courtside. In Charlottesville, Virginia, in a sellout crowd. The Cavaliers are going to witness another win. They're going to go to 13-0 in the season. Steal by P.J. Savoy. I think they needed more of that earlier. I want to get it to Kersey. 13.
It's going to end up being a 15-point game, and it was a 25, 30-point game, honestly, when you go back and break down the film.
Right. Oh, you said it, Jimmy. You're absolutely right. You're getting some extra buckets here. Vassell again. It's 15 points. It's going to be another steal. Wilkes is fouled. It's going to be 3 free throws coming up, and just prolonging the inevitable here with 5.3 seconds left. It's a 12-0 run by Florida State.
This score could end up 65-53.
Right.
And it wasn't even close to a 65-53 game. It was a 9-point spread. The line was 9 points. They're going to get close to getting there.
This may end up on bad beats with SVP later on, right?
Oh,
I don't know.
wow.
There's no 10-point shot with 5.3 seconds left.
I don't think so, but
Wishful thinking, Jimmy.
yeah. I just want Kersey to get one off. Just rise up and fire.
They just need one good pass to get it to them. They haven't had it here in the last 2 minutes. We got Kansas and Iowa State coming up. Number 5 Kansas at Iowa State. Stay tuned for that. 5.3 seconds left.
Uh-oh.
Virginia, that's it. 65-52 the final. Cavaliers 13-0 on the season. One of 4 remaining undefeated teams. Thanks for watching. Let's go to Mark Neely and Fran Fraschilla for Kansas at Iowa State. Guys.